What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. Today we're focusing on why John Tortorella was shown the door in New York and who his, successor may be. The first thing with Tortorella is his message was falling on deaf ears. I said this at the beginning of the season. I know I tweeted it. I'm not sure if I said it on the show or not. But if they don't make the finals, they're out. He's out of a job. I just think that the yelling and screaming, and look at me, I'm John Tortorella. That act got old. And it's funny, a lot of people say, certain guys can't play or coach in New York City. I think with Tortorella was that just inflated an already inflated ego. Was playing, look at me, Gotham City, hockey, yeah. Dude, your players blocked you out. The Lundqvist interview was just, the straw. I think the straw broke the camel's back. I think he would have been fired over the summer anyway. But that expedited the process. The post-game, Game 5 interview with Lundqvist just said, he's talking about playing in New York in the past. I don't think he's leaving New York. He's got a year left on his contract. He loves New York City, but you really gotta examine how can you have all this talent and not make the finals the last 2 years. They should have beaten New Jersey. For all intents and purposes, they should have beaten the Bruins. They laid down and died for the Bruins, and that's just. I think that reflects poorly on the coaching staff. And like I said, his message was falling on deaf ears. He lost me last year in the playoffs when he threw Gabrick under the bus, and he knew Gabrick was playing through a busted shoulder. And then that's part of the reason Gabrick gets traded. And then, Gabrick does this thing pretty well called score goals. They needed offense in the playoffs. They needed offense right up last year in the playoffs too. But now you can make the counter argument. He wasn't scoring last year in the playoffs, yeah, but you can't discount his talent level. I know he's made of glass, but you lose Gabrick. To, pretty much that thing, that ship sailed. Richards is gone. That was more of Glenn's other mistake, but you got to look at he's got to be held accountable. And I'm not a guy that advocates fire the coach, but in this case, it was justified. And some pretty good coaching options out there. Vigneault from Vancouver would be worth a look. I actually think Guy Boucher, former Lightning coach, would be a perfect fit. I think it's like kind of the yin and the yang. I don't think Lindy Ruff's a good fit because the yelling and screaming act just ain't going to work with this group. We saw that. But I think with Boucher coming in there with being more of a common influence, guys not going to yell and scream and throw guys under the bus, I think he'd be a perfect fit. I don't think they'll hire him, though. I think they're going to go for, the New York Rangers, big-time name, to please the fans in New York and in Gotham City. But, I like Vigneault would fit, and I think Tortorella would fit great in Vancouver. I think they'd cut the shit with the diving with him, but we'll see how that worked out. But I just think it's an intriguing thing to look at. There could be some assistant out there that no one's ever heard of that Glenn Sather falls in love with too. He is Glenn Sather after all. But there's some options out there. I personally, if I were in charge of the Rangers, and if I were this, they'd still be playing right now because Gabrick wouldn't have been traded, Tortorella would have been fired sooner. There would have been a coaching staff that could, that would be held accountable. As opposed to just holding the players accountable. A competent coaching staff, But we'll see what happens. Maybe they bring Ruff in, but I don't think he's a good fit. Now, of course, I say that he could win the Jack Adams next year, right? But you never know what's going to happen with the New York Rangers. It's Broadway drama at its finest. They're like the Knicks. They get all this hype in New York and they don't do anything. They're consistently first, second round playoff exits. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Carmelo can coach. Bring Mike D'Antoni, the old Knicks coach, bring him back to the Rangers. Talk about a drama-filled team. He's coaching the Lakers now, but anyway, that's on this episode of the Power Play with CJ on John Tortorella being shown the door in New York. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the playoffs and beyond. Later, guys.